The lone human stood at the edge of the cliff, gazing out at the violet-hued sky of the alien world. Winds carried faint sparks of bioluminescent pollen, drifting like tiny stars around him. He had come here by chance, a survey mission that had gone off course, leaving him stranded on this uncharted planet. His ship, a small but resilient scout craft, hummed faintly behind him, its engine still warm from a landing made in haste. The terrain was unforgiving, jagged rocks and crystal formations littered the landscape. But there was beauty in the alien wilderness, a strange serenity that both calmed and unsettled him. He had been alone for days, surviving on ration packs and synthesized water. Every movement he made was cautious. The planet's strange flora often concealed dangers he could not yet recognize. Yet, amid the silence and isolation, he had begun to notice life. Small, luminescent creatures darted between the crystal spires, and above, alien birds with transparent wings traced patterns across the sky. He felt a faint thrill. Discovery was always paired with danger, and in this solitude, he was alive in a way that life aboard a human vessel could never offer. It was just as he was scanning the horizon with his binoculars that he first noticed them. 5 figures appeared from behind a cluster of glowing stones. Their movements were fluid, almost floating, and as they stepped into the light, he realized they were humanoid. Their skin shimmered in soft shades of blue and green, each unique yet collectively mesmerizing. Their eyes, large and luminous, seemed to hold intelligence and fear in equal measure. They were small, barely taller than a human child. Yet, there was an undeniable grace in the way they moved. For a moment, the human froze. Encounters with intelligent alien life were rare even in the outer sectors, and his heart raced as he observed them. The 5 girls, he could not call them women, not by human standards, yet they radiated maturity stopped a few meters away. They did not speak, at least not in any language he could understand, but their expressions were clear. Fear, hope, and an urgent plea echoed in the curve of their lips, the tilt of their heads. Then, one stepped forward, her voice surprisingly soft, yet resonant, carrying in the thin alien air. "Take us with you," she said in broken Common, the language he used for interspecies communication. Her companions mirrored her words, their tone urgent, pleading. The human took a cautious step forward, unsure if he should respond. I can't just why me?" he asked, not entirely certain if they would understand his hesitation. "We are trapped," another said, her voice trembling. "We cannot survive here alone, your kind. You can take us. Please." He blinked, processing their words. The plea in their voices was sincere, desperate. Something deep inside him shifted. The instinct that had kept him alive for days gave way to empathy. He had survived countless dangers, but never had he felt the weight of responsibility like this. "Trapped? What do you mean?" A third girl moved closer, her eyes glistening like twin moons. "The others took our families. Our homes are gone. We are alone. Please, human, take us away before it is too late." The human exhaled slowly, trying to make sense of the situation. He had seen the remnants of structures in the distance, broken and smoldering. Signs of conflict were everywhere. The jagged rocks bore scorch marks, and the air carried the faint scent of burning vegetation. He had assumed this planet was deserted, yet here before him were 5 survivors pleading for refuge. "I don't know if my ship can hold you all," he said, scanning his vessel. "It's small, designed for a single pilot." "Then take turns," the first girl replied without hesitation. "Anyway, just take us." The human hesitated, but as he looked into their eyes, he felt a resolve hardening inside him. Their vulnerability mirrored the countless humans who had once looked to him for protection back home. And now, fate had reversed the roles. Here, in a distant corner of the galaxy, they were asking for his help, and he could not turn away. He led them cautiously toward the ship, motioning for them to stay low among the rocks. Their movements were swift and silent, a strange dance of grace and urgency. As they approached, the human could not help but notice the subtle differences between them. One had hair that shimmered like liquid silver, another's eyes glowed faintly green, The third skin bore patterns like carved crystal. Yet in their diversity there was unity. They moved as one. Driven by a shared fear and hope that transcended words as they reached the ship, the human opened the hatch, his hands steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. "You'll need to be quick. The engines take time to start." The girls nodded, their eyes wide with gratitude. One climbed in first, followed by another, their movements careful yet determined. When the last had boarded, the humans sealed the hatch and began the startup sequence. The engines roared to life, vibrations running through the hull, and the human felt a surge of exhilaration. He had no idea if the ship could handle 5 additional passengers. But for the moment, survival was the only goal. As the ship lifted off, the alien girls pressed against the walls, their faces pressed to the viewports. Outside, the planet stretched endlessly, a kaleidoscope of color and light. The human piloted the ship with practiced skill, avoiding jagged spires and weaving through narrow valleys. The girls whispered among themselves in a language he could not understand, their voices soft, almost musical. Yet every so often one would glance at him and smile. A small gesture that carried immense weight. Hours passed in silence, broken only by the hum of the engines and the occasional questions the girls attempted in broken common. They were inquisitive, asking about the stars, the ship, and the human himself. He answered as best he could, realizing that, for all their differences, curiosity was universal. They marveled at the controls, the blinking lights, the strange objects that allowed the human to navigate the vastness of space. Eventually, exhaustion settled over them. The humans set a course for a nearby star system with habitable planets, a place where they might find safety and begin again. As he watched the girls curl up on the floor, a protective instinct surged within him. These small, fragile beings had trusted him, and he would not betray that trust. He realized then that this was more than survival, it was connection, a bond that transcended species, a bridge between worlds. Days turned into weeks as they traveled through space. The human taught them basic skills: how to operate the ship, how to monitor life support, how to communicate using common. The girls adapted quickly, their intelligence and resilience remarkable. They learned from him, but he also learned from them. Their perspectives, shaped by a world he would never fully know, challenged his assumptions and expanded his understanding of the galaxy. One evening, as the ship drifted near a nebula that painted the void in hues of violet and gold, the first girl approached him. "Why did you help us?" she asked, her voice soft, tinged with genuine curiosity. He considered the question, watching the stars reflect in her luminous eyes. "Because it was the right thing to do," he said simply. "And because I could." Her companions joined, listening intently. They did not fully understand, perhaps, but there was a sense of awe in their silence. They had been saved by a being so different from themselves, yet whose compassion bridged the gulf between species. Time and space was measured not by days, but by experience. The human and the girls settled into a rhythm. They shared stories of their worlds. He spoke of Earth, its oceans and mountains, its bustling cities and quiet villages. They spoke of their planet, of forests that glowed in the dark, rivers of liquid crystal, and skies filled with twin suns. Even though the human could not fully grasp their history, he listened with rapt attention. Realizing that each tale was a fragment of the universe's infinite mosaic, conflict was never far away. They encountered pirates, hostile alien species, and storms of cosmic radiation that threatened the ship's integrity. Yet through each challenge, the human and the girls learned to rely on one another. They moved as a team, combining human ingenuity with the girls' alien abilities. They developed strategies, shared instincts, and a deep sense of trust grew among them. And then one fateful day, they approached a planet that might serve as their new home. Its atmosphere was breathable, its lands rich with resources. The girls' eyes sparkled as they gazed at it, and for the first time, the humans saw not fear or desperation, but hope. They had survived together, grown together, and now they had a chance to thrive. As they prepared to land, the first girl reached out, touching his arm gently. "Thank you," she whispered. You gave us life when all seemed lost." He smiled, a mixture of pride and humility. "We saved each other," he replied. And in that moment, amid the alien skies and the promise of a new beginning, he realized the truth of it. Humanity's strength was not in technology or weapons, but in compassion, in the willingness to stand for others. Even when the universe seemed indifferent, the landing was gentle. The ship settling on the soft emerald plains, the girls stepped out, their faces alight with wonder and gratitude. The human followed, surveying the landscape with cautious optimism. This was not the end of their journey, but a beginning and opportunity to build, to explore, and to bridge worlds that had never before touched.